Disruption is one of the most applicable words to describe the state of our society. The disruption has been caused primarily, by the coronavirus and our governing leaders attempting to minimize the spread of the virus. Many parts of our culture seem to be turned upside down. With the institution of social distancing, the CDC recommended mitigation effort to slow the spread of this pandemic. The normal rhythms and habits of 21st century society have been, disrupted. So sporting events, concerts, education, and worship, normal gathering and connection events have been greatly impacted. Amid the disruption are enormous expressions of disagreement over what and in what measure the mitigation efforts ought to be continued. Some feel strongly that another shutdown may be necessary, while others feel that it's time to allow the virus to just run its course. Most people land somewhere in between. We as believers are admonished to not give up the assembling of ourselves together, Hebrews 10:25. How does that work in a pandemic? Well, I'd like to offer several suggestions for your consideration. These suggestions can be safely observed as the necessary precautions are taken. First, many churches have an online option for participating in weekly worship services. If your health context necessitates that you remain socially isolated, there are many remote options that can keep you connected to your church or local group. Churches are using the internet, telephone, CDs, and DVDs to continue to minister to their church family. If being present at church services are not advisable for you, please take advantage of these remote options. Secondly, small groups, those under 25, are allowable in many social settings. The smaller the group tends to be, the more relaxed the participants can be in meeting together. Although staying at home is best if you are symptomatic or if you've been exposed to someone who has COVID-positive test results within the past 14 days. If you feel that limited risk is relatively safe for you, attending small groups or services with small group limitations may be a good option for your safety and health concerns. Thirdly, in Pennsylvania, the church has been exempted from some restrictions due to its status as an essential organization. This allows for churches to continue gathering for worship when precautionary steps are implemented. So while the church holds this exempted status, leaders are still urged to implement robust mitigation efforts such as wearing masks when social distancing 6 feet is not possible, sanitizing hands and surfaces often, and keeping people from being congested into spaces where the transmission of the virus is needlessly escalated. Many of our churches have implemented safety standards designed to keep congregants as safe as possible. The purpose of my video connection today is to reinforce the word of encouragement found in Hebrews 10. I'm happy to report that in most cases, our network churches remain fundamentally stable. It appears that our ministers have done a great job engaging their congregations during one of the most challenging seasons of our generation. In most cases, this has caused an extra amount of time and creative energy for our pastors to minister when the normal avenues of ministry were just not possible. But with the disruption of physical gatherings, some are finding it personally challenging to engage with the same regularity as before COVID-19. So here's a summary. Determine in your heart to fulfill Hebrews 10:25. Intentionally gather with others from your home church, whether it's online or in person. Stay connected. Let your pastor, secondly, or others from your church family know when you have a concern or a service that you can provide. Despite the disruption, we can and should continue to function as the church. Finally, the time will come when the virus, or our response to it, will come to some form of resolution. It may happen incrementally or it may happen all at once. Whichever the case, purpose now in your heart to be a faithful participant of the church that Jesus is building. A verse that has been so apropos is David's reflection of going to worship. He said in Psalm 42:4, I used to go with the multitude. I went with them to the house of God with a voice of joy and praise. I don't know about you, friend, but I'm looking forward to regaining some of the normalcy that we enjoyed prior to the coronavirus. But until that may happen, let's purpose in our heart and spirit to remain faithful to God and faithful to His Word. God bless you.